Back in 2016, Rainbow Bagels took the internet by storm. It was one of the largest food trends during that year and led to wild success for the creator of this colorful treat, the bagel store in Brooklyn, New York. I'm about 5 years late, but looking through various news articles, YouTube videos, and the bagel store's Instagram page, it really makes me want to try them. But the problem is, I don't live in New York, at least not anymore, and I wanted a taste of this. So I grabbed some of my closest friends, Googled a recipe, and embarked on my next adventure, Rainbow Bagels. Alright, the recipe I found is from another YouTuber called Steve Owen, and I've linked both his video and his recipe in the description down below. And joining me for this recipe today, we have some dear friends of mine, Heather and Nara, to help me out. But first things first, let's grab our ingredients. We need 900 grams of bread flour, 625 milliliters of water, 2 teaspoons of salt, 4 teaspoons of dried yeast, and a bunch of food coloring. I want to have a lot of bagels to keep and give away to friends, so we're going to multiply this recipe by 2.5. Now on to baking. So 900 grams scaled up by 2.5 gives us 2,250 grams, which is pretty much 5 pounds, so we're just going to use the whole bag of flour. And because that's a lot, we're going to need to split this into 2 bowls. Then we need to add our water. After adjusting the 625 milliliters of water, we are left with 1,562.5 milliliters, or roughly 6.5 cups. You're going to want to add the water gradually and not all at once, so we only added 2.5 cups to each bowl and held the rest to the side. This way we can control the consistency of the dough and adjust if it's too wet or too dry. Now is the time to be bold, so we're going to put on our big person pants and dig right in with both hands.
I feel like my fingers are corn dogs.
No, let's see those fingers.
Monster hands, show me monster hands.
If you've never mixed dough with your hands before, it's a weird feeling. Everything is wet and sticky and clumpy and gooey, and it just makes you feel like a kid again. But it's kind of fun and also a huge mess, so plan accordingly. All right, Heather, how's it feeling? What does it feel like?
This is awesomely squishy.
So satisfying. This process is also super brutal on the hands and forearms, so if you have a stand mixer, now is the time to use it. Or just recruit your friends and their children for some manual labor. Because we got caught up in the moment, we actually forgot to add the salt and, more importantly, the yeast. So we added half the salt and the yeast to one bowl and the rest to the other, and just prayed that everything would turn out okay. And once everything was thoroughly worked in, we combined the contents of both bowls into a single dough ball on the counter. You know, if you have a stand mixer, this would be a great time to use that. I don't have a stand mixer, but I have 2 forearms that feel like they're gonna die. All right, now take it and slam it down on the counter, like that. Yeah, just throw it. One more time.
It's so sticky.
Yeah, good job. So we have 6 different colors that we're going to use for the rainbow bagels. We have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. So now we need to cut this bad boy up into 6 different pieces and then dye each section. Let's go. I took a bench scraper and cut the dough ball in half, and then each half into thirds to get sixths. And then finally, it was time to add some color. Keep in mind that this is an extremely messy process, so again, if you have a stand mixer, now is a great time to use it. And if you don't, be prepared to have your hand stained every color of the rainbow. So for red, yellow, green, and blue, just continue to add the dye until you're happy with the color. And for orange and purple, we did roughly equal amounts of red and yellow and red and blue. This is exhausting. This is a lot of working the dough, and I feel like I'm getting nowhere. What is that, Nara?
A big worm dinosaur.
Yeah. Do you want to show the camera? Here, pick it up. Wait. You're gonna have to work the dough a lot, like a lot. And you're gonna need to add way more dye than you think you do. For this entire batch, we used 2 boxes of dye, so make sure you have enough. So I want to call out an important step before rolling and stacking. You need to prove the dough first, meaning leave it out in a warm place for the yeast to do its job and the dough to rise. Because we've been working with the dough for like an hour, we figured that it was proving the entire time, so we felt okay skipping that step, and now we are on to assembly. Alright, so I don't have a rolling pin, but what I do have is a wine bottle and some cling wrap, so I just wrapped this bad boy and I'm gonna use this instead. From there, start rolling out the dough into a rectangle. Mine was roughly 12 by 8 inches, but yours may vary. Then before you stack the next color on top, make sure to spritz a little bit of water on there to make sure the layers stick. If you need to, stretch a new layer a little bit so that it fits nicely on the layer below it. Then repeat this for the remaining colors. So I forgot to mention, you're gonna wanna beat all of the air out of the dough so you can get all the bubbles out. So just take your anger out on it, just hit it a whole bunch of times, and all of the frustration from having to knead it for like 2 hours. All right, we have this thing stacked up and it's starting to look like something. So this is a giant rainbow stack of dough. It kind of looks like the foam Play-Doh that we used to play with as kids. But yeah, so now is the time that we cut this into strips and we actually start making the bagels. So the technique here is to wrap the twisted strip around your hand to get the size that you want. Then you pinch off the ring and roll it into the counter to form the bagel. We had a lot of dough and we're making medium to smallish bagels, so we're gonna get a lot more than the 15 that this recipe says we'll get. So we rolled and rolled and rolled, and in the end we had 32 bagels of all different sizes. All right, so twisting these bagels is way more fun than I expected. There's so many colors and just kind of like swinging a little rope around, and it's a lot of fun. Now with all the bagels formed, we need to boil some water to give them a quick dip into. The boiling water helps form the skin of the bagel, and you're going to want to be on the cautious side when dipping the bagels in. The recipe calls for 30 seconds on either side, but I found that this waterlogs the bagel and the texture comes out kind of weird later. I might have just done it wrong, but I would lean towards less time in the water rather than more. After the bath, you leave the bagels to drip dry on a wire rack before throwing them in the oven for about 20 minutes at 375 degrees. So we also might need to adjust the bake time because we have normal sized bagels like this, and then we also have a really tiny bagel like this. After 20-ish minutes, the bagels were ready to take out and cool, and they look amazing. All right, let's have a bite of this thing and see what it's about. Okay, yeah, that's not bad. That's pretty good. The bagels actually tasted pretty good. Considering I've never made bagels before and I'm not really a baker, these came out surprisingly close, if not better than something that I could buy at the store. Throw some cream cheese on top or maybe toast it with some butter, and these are a gorgeous looking treat. So after baking bagels for 3.5 hours, what do I think? Like I mentioned, the bagels tasted great. I was actually surprised, but I think that they are on par or slightly better than something that I could buy in the store. And making them was a little messy, but a whole lot of fun. I think it's definitely something to try once in your life. But putting quality aside for a moment, I'm finding something more important here. You know, there's something special about making things yourself. It may not be better than what you can buy in the store, it may not save you money, and it definitely won't save you time, but the thing you do get is the experience. I had the opportunity to bring friends into my home, learn a new skill, and share an experience with them. Sure, I could have gone out and bought rainbow bagels. I actually have no idea where to buy them in Seattle, and if you do, please let me know. But if I had bought them and shared them, I would probably get, I don't know, wow, that's cool, and that's about it. But there's no journey, there's no shared experience. It's definitely a cliche, but I'm finding that quality time with friends was the most valuable thing that I got out of this. And I just happened to use rainbow bagels as a unique way to bring everyone together to do something. Anywho, I really enjoyed making this video, and I hope you had just as much fun watching it. Links to everything that I used can be found in the description down below, and leave a comment if you end up making this too. I would love to hear about your experience. But for now, good luck, have fun, peace.